Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joe Theodore and I'm honored that you have decided to click on this video today and join me for this very brief, I hope it's brief, because I want to make more videos very soon when it comes to the May transits and what will be going on specifically in May. So this will be just a introductory, I'm going to just hit some pretty precise points of exactly that I feel are going to be the most significant transits. May, there's a lot of good stuff happening in May compared to what we've been through. And I promise I won't blather on with the Aries rambling that I've been doing in a lot of my recent talks. But, with the eclipse and with Chiron and the full moon in Scorpio and, all the stuff, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, all of that tying in to the amount of power in Aries has been overwhelming. And I know that I'm not alone in saying that. So many people I talk to on a daily basis have nothing but Aryan tales and stories of their life that are just incredibly powerful for good and some negative. I won't lie. There's been a lot of people who I've, talked to who, had a rough time, in their Aries part of their birth chart. And you know what? I'm sort of included in that a little bit. I started my Mercury retrograde cycle before the eclipse with the intention of some serious things in my life. And I really thought that they were going to work out. And I got turned upside down and I have embarked on a new journey in one specific area of my life, which I'll spare you the details. But in this video, I don't want to discuss so much about the jam-packedness of Aries, except for one thing. We are still in the thick of Aries. And you know what? To be quite honest with you, Mars is going into Aries. Mercury will still be there for a good chunk of the month. It's going to hit Chiron again. It's going to conjunct Chiron again. So, if I have to talk about Aries, I got to talk about Aries because that energy is still going to stick around, guys. But like I said just moments ago, I want to make more videos to tackle May 2024, this insane astrology, which will end up being lighter and more beautiful because Venus will get back into Taurus and, there's going to be some good aspects with that. And honestly, there's not many hard aspects, which is a big part of the May beauty. There's really nothing that's too hard, not any crazy oppositions or squares, So, and plus that new moon, oh my God, that new moon is going to make all of the difference because it's going to be the first new moon since the eclipse. And Venus will be there. Venus will be right there with this Taurian new moon. And I think that's really going to be a beautiful moment. I hate when people just constantly throw the word rebirth around. But Taurus is all about growing things. Whatever you're trying to grow, whether that's within yourself or in the material world. Are you trying to grow more experiences and joy in your life? And then with Mars and Aries, forget about it. I've been telling everybody to start stuff, get your energy up, get your creative mind on. If you have a project you're trying to start, if there's anything that you've been wanting to start, now's the time. It really is. Out of all of the rest of the year, probably, because whenever Mars is back in Aries, every time that I've initiated something, I've had amazing results. Period. End of story. Full stop. So with this new moon and Mars in Aries, and Mercury direct flying towards Taurus. This is a beautiful time. Everything is moving forward. Everything is moving forward, except for Pluto. Pluto's retrograde, but that's okay. I think that's a good thing because Pluto is not activated at the moment, really. It's sort of just, I kind of get visions with Pluto like it's like a car going fast, even though Pluto is not a fast-moving car. It's a slow transpersonal transmutation of a planet. But when it retrogrades, I just feel like, okay, it's like putting on the brakes a little bit. Like, okay, like calm down, Aquarius and Pluto, or Pluto and Aquarius, just chill out, And so we don't really have everything's moving forward, flying forward. Because that Mercury retrograde was extremely heavy all of April. So, like I said moments ago, once again, because I feel like I'm energized right now. I feel like I'm rambling. But like I said moments ago, I will go more in depth, specifically with certain transits in upcoming videos. I will be launching a Patreon within days, actually. I don't know if anyone cares about that yet. I know the channel is still rather small, but I will be dedicating the Patreon to doing horoscopes for all of you guys, every single sign. And I will do an in-depth analysis of major transits going on in your chart. And I'll use the rising sign as kind of the indication, to do the reading. And I will go through, the hardcore transits we'll be feeling. And then, of course, I will do a May assessment for each sign as well. So I'm going to work on that kind of video very soon, and then that'll be up on Patreon. And then I'm going to do a lot of other things there too, if anyone's interested. So stay tuned for that. Extra videos I don't put on YouTube, and a live Q&A once a month, which is, I'm really looking forward if anyone wants to do that. So before I get into what I want to say today, this video is sponsored by the like button, the comment section, and the subscribe button. They're totally free. I'm giving them away, and you can just support the channel simply by doing one of those three things, hopefully all of them. All right, guys, so I have my phone here, and I just have my notepad open. I'm not going to be doing any visuals on the screen. So far, this channel has just been me and you talking, being here together, and eventually when I get more savvy with the tech stuff, because I'm a slow learner in the tech world, to be honest, I'll figure out better ways to share the screen or to put the charts up and, all that good stuff. On the Patreon, I'll definitely do that, though. Definitely there's going to be charts on the screen for the Patreon. So, guys, April 29th, and April 30th. April 29th, Venus goes into Taurus. April 30th, Mars goes into Aries. Both planets within a day of each other, a day and a half, 2 days, going back home to their domicile signs. This in itself will be a major shift in energy, in consciousness, in our way that we exist in those areas of your birth chart, okay? So you really have to know where this stuff is in your life, because that is going to really indicate to you where those potent energies are going to be available most dominantly. Sometimes, because I'm into magic, when I know a transit will occur, not only am I prepared for the existence of reality itself, whatever's controlling the existence of our lives and the beauty of astrology, I'm always prepared of what life may bring and what may manifest on its own unconsciously and then arrives consciously. Then sometimes, because I'm into various forms of, magic, nothing dark, but, for example, this would be one thing I would do is when I know Mars is going into Aries, I actively co-create with Mars. I actively prepare something to launch or to focus on or to grow. And Venus going into Taurus, I will actively meditate with her, and I will, allow her to influence things in my life that are more Venusian. So I won't go through a list of examples, but Venus is not just beauty and love and connection, but it's creativity, it's joy. It's looking at the world in a more beautiful way. It's allowing myself to, really attempt and try to just look at everything with a little bit more awe, and to allow myself to be patient with stress and, things in this material world. Venus can also be wonderful for money, I guess, not to say go actively out there to make money, but with Mars in Aries and Venus going into Taurus, if anyone is trying to monetize anything, it's kind of like the perfect setup for all of that, in my opinion. So, again, guys, with all astrology, there's collective energies that are just always present, and they manifest in different ways that are not always detailed to what area in your birth chart these are, but specifically in those areas of your life, that's really where the attention of yourself is needed, and where the effort can be placed more dominantly on. So like what I said with my using magic and to co-create with the planets, I would only co-create and put my intention in that part of my birth chart, So for me, Taurus is in the 7th house. So I would, I'm going to make sure that some of that Venusian energy is going to be really involved in my relationships, of all kinds. And as you can already tell by what's going on in Taurus, there's a lot that I'm going to be able to work with. New moon there. There's a lot of probably, I'm anticipating a lot of new relationships forming. Even this YouTube channel is a perfect example. I feel like I'm creating a lot of new relationships with all of you guys. Even though I would say social media and internet stuff is not necessarily, Taurian. But my 7th house is still about relationships and partnerships, even business. So I would say like me doing this astrology YouTube channel, considering it's part of my life and business, like it's all tying in. It's all making sense. So I'm going to co-create and really, make more time specifically in May, of course, but hopefully longer than that, to really create for you guys and create a safe space for us to, explore astrology. And then Mars is going to be so active, guys, so active with the fire and the assertiveness and the energy that we need to move forward with confidence and freedom. But like I said already in some of my videos, with Mars going into Aries, we have to be careful because there will be tensions rising. There will be potential conflict and aggression aimed at us, but nothing to fear, in my opinion. But we have to be ready for that. Mars is nothing to fool around with. But when we use Mars in a positive way, we can get a lot of shit done, So that's all I'm going to say on that for now, because I will do more in-depth videos on both of those transits. But this is, again, just a quick little overview of the month here. Now, on May 7th, Mercury and Chiron form a conjunction. So this is where Mercury's flying through Aries now, and it's going to hit Chiron for the 3rd time, which means that there will be whatever sacred wounds, whatever wound that has been extremely highlighted for you during your eclipse season story, because remember that eclipse fell directly on Chiron. Mercury hit it twice already. Now it's going to hit it direct again, which for me, I feel will be a ultimate clarity around the healing process or whatever it is that you've had to come to terms with in regards to your Chiron story in Aries for you. Now, what's beautiful about this moment is that the new moon in Taurus will be falling literally on the same day. Excuse me, I think a few hours later, but the moon is pretty much new. We can say it's a new moon by the time Mercury and Chiron conjoin each other. So for me, this is very symbolic for a moment of a brand new beginning, a brand new birth in the Taurus part of your life, but also that is being triggered in the Arian part of your life. And I'm only saying triggered because Mercury will be hitting this for the 3rd time. Because honestly, there's nothing in Taurus right now that has any relationship to Aries. There's no planetary connection, none of that. We just have Mars home in Aries, and we have Mercury about to conjoin it for the 3rd time. But because it's falling on the exact same day as the new moon in Taurus, this is significant. And it's making me think that whatever the healing issues have been for you, whatever the wounds have opened, and maybe you're beginning to heal now, whatever has been revealed to you throughout the eclipse season, this new moon, being the first new moon after this eclipse, there's a link there. And I think there's going to be a moment for profound, just revelation in a sense of growth. So I think there's going to be growth in your Taurian story. But also in your Arian story, things will be, I don't know, I just feel like it's going to be like a final moment of recognition on a mental level, because Mercury is going to allow you to not only see clearly, but mentally understand the truth of the entire situation that was unfolding for you, if that makes sense. Because Mercury is flying direct, which means we are moving forward with the mind and directing our journey, whatever that is for you, regarding the wound. And there's just going to be clarity around that, whether for the good or the bad. And I've said that before, clarity is not always sunshine and roses. Sometimes it's dark, but at least we're clear on the dark, But this new moon in Taurus is going to provide, I think, the elixir for just beauty and freshness, if that makes any sense to you guys. Now let me have a sip of my tea. Lemon ginger. All right, and then May 15th, about a week later, Mercury gets into Taurus. So after everything Mercury's been doing for well over a month, now we're past the integration phase. So everything is now hopefully integrated from everything we learned in Aries. Mercury will now be in Taurus. And this is going to be very beautiful, because it's just getting Mercury out of the fire is going to be such a relief. And I really think that is going to be felt tremendously. We're going to feel that ingress. Because now the mind of Mercury, the intellect that we all are now bringing from Aries into Taurus, the communications that we hold within ourselves and with others are going to be highlighted in a very... This is where, honestly, the new moon is going to be a trigger point for this growth and activation in Taurus when Mercury conjoins Chiron on the same day of the new moon. But when Mercury gets into Taurus, that's really when we're going to begin growing via communication, via some kind of back and forth involving the way we speak to ourselves and the way we deal with others. And I think if you're trying to build something or grow something or initiate something with Mars and Aries, then Mercury in Taurus is going to be just it's going to be the energy we need to allow it to be spoken into existence. And the conversations what we can have with others potentially will be positive and influential, if that makes any sense. And no matter what area in your birth chart all of this stuff still plays true, because again, the themes in your birth chart are really what the story is in your life. That's what it's all about. But the communication will be there. It'll be open. There's going to be a lot more receptivity from others potentially to you, or just ideas that you have will be more receptive to come and maybe to become channeled through you, if that makes any sense. I feel some of you may actually be able to channel, things. I don't know what, but I think you'll be able to get some intuitive insights that will be tangible for you in something in your life that is asking to be grown, and to, again, on the piggyback of the new moon, this rebirth cycle that has occurred there. And Mercury is just going to really emphasize the way we go about communicating and initiating, in that sense. Now, May 20th, the sun gets into Gemini. So pretty much the start of summer in a way. The Gemini sun is going to be a beautiful moment, similar to Mercury, in my opinion, what Mercury is going to be doing in Taurus for a while. I think Mercury is going to have an easier time in Taurus being able to communicate, initiate, understand, again, communication within yourself. And the Sun in Gemini, I think, is just going to highlight further just the fluidity and possibilities of what can be said and what can be done in a very analytical way. I also think this will be a wonderful time for relationships, especially with Mercury and Taurus. I feel this could be a beautiful time for initiating dating. This can be a beautiful time for, finding new friends or joining some group or going out and getting incorporating maybe your work with other people and just getting your ideas out there. And then the Sun in Gemini is just going to add to that, because Mercury rules Gemini. So those are going to have a very close relationship with each other, throughout Mercury's transit in Taurus for sure. And then Mercury will get into Gemini at some point with the Sun still being in Gemini. So that'll be beautiful as well. So a lot of communication, and I hate saying the word communication 1,000 times because it's cliche for Mercury. But again, it's just the sharing of ideas, the sharing of knowledge, just things making sense in the mind, being specific, making good choices, but also understanding them on a mental level, rather than so much being so emotional. So we're going to really be able to work with the conscious mind here. And, and however that looks for you. And again, wherever Gemini is in your chart, going to be a major theme for all of that, including the Mercury and Taurus story. Now, moving along a little bit more, and guys, like I said before in the earlier part of this video, I will go into depth in other videos highlighting these specific transits and possibly even do more May overviews, even on the YouTube channel. This is just a very brief, me flying through some stuff offhand, reading off of my Notepad app on my iPhone. Jupiter goes into Gemini, May 27th, with Venus there and the Sun. And this is going to be almost a conjunction, in my opinion. I think Jupiter will be at 0 degrees, of course. That fresh ingress, which is a massive moment. I will probably make multiple videos on that alone, but that's a massive moment because it's finally separated, and out of the sign completely of the Uranus-Taurus story. So Jupiter will be fresh into Gemini, which many astrologers are getting a little bit worried about because they're looking ahead, a little bit too far in advance, because Jupiter and Gemini could be sketchy like down the line, and we could talk about that in the future. But with the Venus and the Sun pretty much forming a conjunction as soon as it enters, that's a beautiful, awesome. That's going to be a beautiful day as we get into June. So for the end of the month, having that energy manifest is, again, with communication, Gemini is the mind, communication, but also, this ability to be so, fluid with other people and just really, I feel like telepathy is going to be jacked up too. I think a lot of us are going to be able to read each other's minds, as crazy as that sounds, even though, I'm a woo-woo mystic here, so it's not crazy to me. But that's going to be epic, guys. Jupiter and Gemini, epic, and Venus and the Sun are pretty much going to be pretty close to being conjunct. And within 7 degrees of each other, from Jupiter to the Sun, it's going to be like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be, a very close conjunction. Enough for me to say they're all conjunct at the same time. And whatever Venus and the Sun is going to highlight for you in your story, Jupiter is just going to immediately expand that. It's going to blow it up. So again, whatever Gemini is in your birth chart, this is going to be the force, the theme of your life that is front and center. And then to close off this video, guys, I just want to talk about one aspect Because again, I'll do more aspect stuff later. But even though I just said there's really not a lot of aspects happening in the sky, there's a couple of sextiles. I don't think there's any squares to be worried about. The last major square we had was the full moon in Scorpio squaring Pluto before it went retrograde. So, again, that shamanic moment out of the sweat lodge, and now Mercury hitting Chiron again, soon. That's going to be the final moment, guys, where the harshness really starts to simmer down. But there is one aspect I want to bring up, and that is Saturn in Pisces sextiling Mercury in Taurus. And I think that's going to be pretty profound. And that's going to happen May 25th, towards the end of the month, towards the Jupiter ingress in the Gemini. But I think that's going to be a favorable transit, because Saturn and Mercury are going to talk to each other, and they're going to be in agreement with each other. And Saturn is going to provide some wisdom and some structure to the communication. So it's not just going to be crazy chaos with Gemini energy, and, because sometimes Gemini energy could be crazy and all over the place. But the sextile going to Mercury towards the end of the month is really going to ground and structure and allow things to be solid in whatever goes on regarding Mercury, regarding all that stuff in Taurus and Gemini. So Saturn's going to anchor some stuff in the ground, even though it's in Pisces, and Pisces is still dreamy and fantastical and illusory and, spiritual. So there's going to be some really fluid and, welcoming and just synchronistic and synergist. The synergy is the word I'm trying to get out of my head. The synergy is going to be very acceptable and very nice and pleasant. So this is a good time from Saturn. This is a good moment. Water meeting some Earth, and with Gemini, potentially, even though there's going to be a lot of beautiful communication and a lot of, chances for, intertwining with other people and their stories and their lives, maybe dating stuff, with Venus in the mix. But Saturn's going to anchor things into the ground in a very, Piscean way. And it's going to help Mercury in Taurus, which will also then influence the Gemini stuff, which is going to be massive, because when Jupiter gets in the Gemini with the Sun and Venus, I don't know, report back to me, what will be expanded in Gemini for you. We will all find out shortly. So guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope this, this video definitely wasn't quick. It was definitely on the longer side, but I will go more into detail on what's going on in May. This is only the first of many videos regarding May. And I do hope that this helped you and made some sense. Thank you so much for staying to the end. Please subscribe, like the video, comment, and sending you so much love, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.